I do record the classes so that at the end of the class, if you'd like, I can email you a copy of the class that you just attended so that you can watch it at any time, or you could have additional staff members watch the class that you attended, etc.
Okay, I would like that.
So the next thing that I want to tell you is that this class is what we call the DARCI and marketing class. Now, we say DARCI and marketing because although DARCI has some very powerful marketing features to her, we also have manual marketing, which is separate from DARCI. And so we do cover both of those things in this class. First and foremost, though, we're going to be talking about DARCI, exactly what it is she does. She's got 5 main jobs. There are several other smaller jobs we won't be discussing in this class, but she has 5 main jobs that she performs, and we're going to be talking about those. And once we've done that, then we'll talk about manual marketing. And once we've done that, the class will be over. And, of course, you can ask questions at any time throughout the class. You can feel free to interrupt by typing or by speaking to me, okay?
Okay.
All right, so let's get started. First things first, in order to use the DARCI system, we must hire DARCI, and we do that by going to the DARCI button in our Transcend toolbar, clicking on that, and that brings up our Setup DARCI window. And in order to hire her, we need to click this button here that says Set Up Account. So I'm going to click on that. That brings up this window. Now, this window is going to allow me to essentially hire her, because what I'm really doing is setting her up so that she can begin running. So it looks a little bit confusing, but it's really very simple. We're going to fill in these fields. Business name, you're going to put in the name of your business, your address, city, state, zip code, and telephone number. Then the website address. Now, the website address is your business's website, and you must have the prefix to it, like www or http or whatever it is. If you're not sure what your prefix is, just go to your website and copy the URL and paste it right here. Do you know what I mean when I say copy the URL?
Yes, I do.
Okay, great. So then we come down here where it says business email address. Now, what you're going to put here, whatever you'd like, whatever email address you'd like, but I want you to understand what's going to be going to this business email address so that you can make sure that you put in the correct one. Normally it's like an info address or your manager's address or something like that. If somebody receives an email from DARCI, if they receive an email from DARCI and they hit reply, so they don't just look at the information or do what it says in there, but they actually hit reply and they write you a message and send, it needs to be forwarded somewhere. It's going to be forwarded to whatever address you have put in this field. So whether you have sent them out a marketing message or you've sent them out an appointment confirmation or whatever it may be, if they hit reply, it will be forwarded to whatever address you put here in the business email address field. Do you understand that?
Uh-huh. Okay.
All right. Next, we've got owner's email address and owner's email address 2. Now, we're going to be getting into one of her 5 jobs, which is called notifications. We'll talk about that more later when we get to that part of it. But I want you to understand that there are certain things that DARCI believes is for the owner's eyes only, not for staff, not for the manager necessarily. I mean, you could do the manager if you'd like, but normally what DARCI is thinking is this stuff is just for the owner's eyes. And if you have put an owner's email address in here, then it will send that type of information to that email address. And you can have up to 2 different owner email addresses here because you could have more than one owner, or perhaps you've got your personal email address and your business email address, whatever it may be if you're the owner. So you can have up to 2 different owner email addresses, and DARCI will send the same things to both. Next, we have upload logo. The first thing you want to understand is that when DARCI sends an email out, we want it to look good, so that when your customers receive something from your software, it has an appealing appearance. So having your logo on it and having your social networking icons on it makes a much nicer email than if they just received a bunch of words from you. So it's important that you upload your logo. So you'll click this button and you'll be able to browse to anywhere on your computer you'd like to find your logo and upload it. Now, a couple of things you need to be aware of. Let me ask you a question, Robbi. Are you in the cloud, or are you an installed version of the software?
It's an installed version of the software.
Okay. All right. With an installed version of the software, you are able to upload a GIF, a JPEG, a TXT, or a PNG. And it must be 500,000 bytes or smaller. In other words, 500K or smaller. Now, it doesn't sound like that's all that much, but it's actually a very large file that can be uploaded. 500K can be fairly large,
Yeah.
and it can be in any one of these types of formats. And you can upload it in, and it's going to be on the top of everything that you send out from that point forward from DARCI. So after you've uploaded your logo, the next thing we have here is text account username and text account password. You don't need to use these. DARCI can do everything that she can do via text. She can do via email as well. However, some of the things that she can do via email, she can't do via text. So a lot of people just stick with email, but some people say, no, 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 I've got to be able to do my appointment confirmations, through text or whatever it is, and that's fine. If so, you've got to have, if so, you've got to have your text account username and password. You can get that from your salesperson here at Pro Solutions. Unlike an email, which is always free, whether you send out 5 emails or 55,000 emails, it's always free. With the texting, you are paying for texting, which is why it's an optional feature. Okay, you can get the exact costs for that from your salesperson, but I believe that your first block of texts is $30 for 1,000 texts. I may be mistaken about that, but I believe it's 30. And now these do not roll over, so that would be per month. If you need an additional 1,000 during a particular month, then I believe it's another $20 for another 30. For another 1,000 texts, etc. Okay, so you contact your salesperson, you get your text account username and password, you put them in here, and now you can start using texting through DARCI.
Okay.
Next, on the right hand, go ahead.
I don't think I have a salesperson, or not one that I know of. Anytime I need anything, I pay for the tech support, and I call TJ.
Okay. Well, yeah, EJ is our technical support manager, and he can help you with anything, of course, but normally you would go through your salesperson, but that's fine. If he handles that for you, he handles that for you.
Yeah.
Okay, so the next thing here, and your salesperson, I believe, just because I always check out the people who are signed up for my classes, I believe that your salesperson is named Maureen Long, just for your information, because every account is assigned a salesperson, and her extension here at our office is 128. So just for your information. Anyway, next we've got this optional account information here. These are your social networking icons. Every email that DARCI sends out, like I said, will have your logo on it. And on the bottom of the email, it'll have your social networking icons. And they are important for a lot of different reasons. But the way you get those icons are you go to your Google Plus site, for instance, and you copy the URL and paste it right in here. What that will do is it will create a Google Plus icon at the bottom of your email. And if your client clicks on that little picture of Google Plus, it'll take them directly to your Google Plus page. Same thing with Yelp, City Search, Facebook, Pinterest, Twitter, and Instagram. Now, we are planning on adding more, but right now, these are the big ones for most small businesses. So those are the ones that we have in the system now. You don't have to include them. If you don't have a Google Plus site, it'll just be blank, like I put in blank Yelp and blank City Search. But I've got my Facebook, my Pinterest, my Twitter, my Instagram, etc. So those create icons on the bottom of the page, and your customers can just click on them and instantly be taken to your Facebook page or your Instagram or whatever it may be. Okay?
Okay.
Once you have filled those out, you press Save. Don't concern yourself with online gift cards, online scheduling, or online retail. In fact, we're planning on removing those from these screens because they don't have anything really to do with DARCI necessarily. They have to do with the online store, which is a completely different class. Anyway, online gift cards, scheduling, and retail, just ignore them. After you've put in your social media URLs, you simply press Save, and then you exit. You have now hired DARCI. She now works for you, but now we've got to put her to work. And we do that with this button here. You said you're an installed version. If you were in the cloud, then there would be no button here because DARCI's always running. However, in an installed version, you must press this button that says Run DARCI. Now, you may get several different things may happen. First of all, nothing may happen, just like what happened with me. I pressed on it, nothing happened. But actually, it did. Down here, it now says DARCI Bella Renaissance is running. So I launched DARCI by pressing that button. Now, you might have pressed it and seen nothing happen, and that's fine. You might have pressed it, and a window might have popped up that said she's already running. Or it may have even said, DARCI is not installed on this computer. Maybe you have multiple computers, and she's already running on another one. Okay? So there are different things that you may get there. But don't forget to press that button after you have hired her, and then she'll get started to work for you. Now, an important thing to note. Again, if you were in the cloud, you don't have to concern yourself with this, but with the installed version, if you were to turn off the computer that's running DARCI, So that's normally your server computer. If you were to turn off your computer and then relaunch your computer, maybe you just had to reboot, maybe you lost power, whatever the reason is, if that computer was turned off, DARCI's no longer running. You need to go back into DARCI and press that Run DARCI button again. Okay? So it's important because DARCI can't do her job if she's not running. So she will run for you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, as long as you launched her and you don't turn off your computer or turn her off for any reason. Okay? All right. Now that we have hired DARCI and we've got her actually there for us, now what we need to do is tell her what jobs we want her to actually perform for us. So now we're going to give her a job description. And those are the 5 main jobs I told you about. The first one are our appointment reminder and confirmations, and you can do those via email or text. So email confirmations, I'm going to click on this. That brings us to our appointment confirmations window here, and it says reminder for, and then I've got what's called a variable. Now, this reminder for, that's what I wrote. You get to write whatever you want. This is completely customizable. You write whatever you want in the subject, whatever you want in the greeting. But I highly recommend that you use variables. You use the variables so that everybody's message is unique to them. So this says reminder for Robbi. Hi, Robbi. Please remember that you have an appointment for a, and then whatever it may be, for a root touch-up or for a European facial or whatever you're offering or whatever she's booked for, with Sally on June 7th at 11 a.m. Please arrive 15 minutes early to unwind, blah, blah, blah. So I wrote that, and now you say, okay, well, how do I know what variables to use? This little information I here, if you click on that, it will give you a list of the variables that you can use for your appointment confirmation. So open caret, business space, name, close caret, to insert the business name. Open caret, service, closed caret, to insert the service name, etc. Open caret, OP, closed caret, to insert the operator name, etc. So that's why this says, hi, Robbi. Remember that you have an appointment for a root touch-up with Sally. So everybody's email that they receive is unique. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
All right. Now, after you have written the message that you want your customers to receive, then down here, you're going to choose 1, 2, 3, or 4. This is the total number of reminders you can send, up to 4. And then after you've chosen how many you want to send, I've said 2, you get, and of course you could just do 1. A lot of people just do 1 for the day before, but I've said 2, and I want my first message to go out 2 days before their appointment. So that's what I've chosen, and you can do it from 0 to 7 days. And the other one is 1 day before their appointment. That's my next one. Now I want you to understand something important. If you had multiple reminders going out, let's say, for instance, that you weren't using software at all. You were still in the Stone Ages and you were using a great big piece of paper. And you called Matt Wiggins because he's got an appointment with you tomorrow for a color. And you called me, I answered, and you said, hey, Matt, this is Robbi. I wanted to remind you about your appointment tomorrow for your color at 11 o'clock. And I said, oh, or let's say day after tomorrow. I wanted to remind you about your appointment day after tomorrow. And I said, absolutely. I'm looking forward to it. Won't miss it. Thanks for the call. Okay, you've confirmed. Well, you would not call me the next day to confirm again. You've marked me confirmed, done. Well, DARCI does the same thing. When she sends out the email, if your customer confirms on one of the first emails, she will not send out any of the following emails. So when your customer receives this message, it's got your logo on it. It's got your social networking icons on it, but it also has a big blue button that says, click here to confirm your appointment. So if your customer clicks that button, it will mark the appointment confirmed right on your appointment book as though you had done it yourself. And it will show the date and time that it was confirmed. And she won't bother sending out any more messages once they confirm. If they received this one 2 days in advance and ignored it, they didn't pay attention, they didn't open their email that day, whatever, then they will receive the next one the following day until they confirm. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yeah.
All right. Good. So you've written your message, you've selected how many you want to send out, you've put in when you want them to go out, and so you're satisfied. You check this box that says active and then press accept. And by doing that, DARCI is now going to, every single day, check to see who's got an appointment based on what times you want them to go out. So for instance, if you said 2 days before, then she will check your appointment book, and everybody who's got an appointment 2 days from now will get that message.
Okay. All right.
All right. You can do the same thing via text. The big difference with text is no artwork. There's no logo, there's no social networking icons, and also there's no big blue button that says click here to confirm. Instead, it is reply Y to confirm. If your customer hits Y and send, then it will do the same thing. It will mark it confirmed right on your appointment book as if they had clicked the big blue button. However, with texting, another difference is you are limited to 140 characters, just like a tweet. So you're going to make it a much shorter message. So this might say something like, reminder for Robbi. Robbi, your appointment with Sally is on June 7th at 11 a.m. Reply Y to confirm. Okay?
Okay.
And then everything else is exactly the same as what we just went over. All right. So that is appointment reminders and confirmations. That's job one. Any questions on that before we continue?
No, that's good.
All right. So the next thing that we're going to talk about then are the campaigns. These are automated email marketing campaigns. And what I mean when I say automated is once you've set them up, you get to forget about them. And Darcy will send them out to a handful of people or everybody on your list. I mean, it really depends on what it is you're sending out. So for instance, I have over 20 different campaigns to choose from. So I'm going to go with, for instance, birthday. So I'll click on birthday, and once again, I get to choose from 1 to 4 messages that I want to send out. This time I said I want to send out 4 messages. And so, for instance, notice if I hit 1, I'm left with 1 line here. If I choose 3, now there's 3 lines. I chose 4, so I've got 4 here. Now, my first campaign is going to go out when, and I get to choose from 0 to 30, and anything in between. I could have chosen a 17 or a 23, but I said 30. That means that this first message is going to go out 30 days before my customer's birthday, whatever their birthday is, 30 days before it. And then my second message, I said, is going to go out 14 days before their birthday. I said my third message will go out 7 days before, and my fourth message will go out on their birthday. That's what the 0 is. If it was a 1, it would be the day before their birthday. So now that I have said when they're going to go out, I get to say what is going out. So I'm going to click on my first message. This is the one that's going out 30 days before I said. So I click on that, and I get to write in my subject, happy birthday, whatever, and then I can choose my font size, and throughout what I'm writing, I can make some things bold, or some things underlined, or some things italic, or I could even change the color of my fonts. And I can also, right in the body of my message, add URLs, like a click here kind of button. And they click, click here to book appointments online. Let's just say you wrote something like that. And the click here could be a link that they could click on. It would take them to your appointments online. And so you can do that by adding a URL right into the body of your message.
Okay.
Once you have written the message that you want, once you've actually got the message written that you want, then you're going to come down here where it says image to use. And you're going to have 8 different images to choose from. You can click on any of these little round radio buttons. There are 8 of them. Now I know you're looking at it right now and saying, no, Matthew, there's 9. Well, I get it. Notice there's 1 off to the side. We're not talking about that one yet. We're talking about these 8. These are 8 pieces of artwork that we have already created for you. And you may like them or not. If you do not like the artwork that we've created for you, you've looked at all 8 of them and you say, nope, garbage, don't want any of them. That's fine. You can actually upload your own custom artwork. And our graphic arts department, which is free to you to use, by the way, will either give you the specs so that you can create your own imagery, or they will work with you to create an image that you like. Once you've got that, if they, let's say you worked with the graphic arts department, they email you the image or they email you your specs, you've got it, you can save it to your computer, and now you can upload your own custom image, the same way you uploaded your logo.
Okay.
So you can upload your own custom image, and then the 9th radio button will be activated. So there are 8 images to choose from, and then there's a 9th one where you can upload your own custom artwork. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
All right. So once we've written our subject, we've written our body, we've chosen our artwork, the next thing we want to do is press the button that says Send Test Email. Type in our email address and hit OK. When I say our, I mean your, of course.
Yeah.
Type, excuse me. You type in the email address, you hit OK, and what happens is you're going to get a sample. And so it might say something like Happy Birthday Jane or Happy Birthday John or something like that. You're going to get a sample. You're going to be able to see what your customers will see if it successfully goes out to them. And if you say, yep, that looks good, then you simply save the template and exit, and you're done with that one. Now you can move on to this one that's going out in 2 weeks. Happy birthday, Robbi. Robbi, your birthday's only 2 weeks away. Of course, that's what I wrote because I know it's 2 weeks before. And then I choose my artwork, and I do the very same thing that I did for the first one, send myself a test email, etc. Now, the reason that the test email is so important is because sometimes people think they've done things right. They chose a font, they chose this, they chose that, and then they save it all and forget about it. And then their customers get an email that looks terrible. And you never want your customers to receive marketing from you that looks bad. It makes you look bad.
Yeah.
So always send your test email to make sure that the fonts and the colors and the logo and everything is right, so that when you look at it on the email that you receive, you say, hey, that's pretty good looking. You're good to go. Save it and move on to the next. Then you know when your customers receive it, it will look good to them as well. All right. So we've chosen a template like birthday. We've set up all of them. We've saved our template all together after we check this box that says active. So after we've set up birthday, we've done all of this, and we've even saved the template. But if we didn't have active checked, no one's going to get our messages. So we must check the active box, press save template. Now the whole thing is done. Now we can move on to another one if we want to. Do you have a question? I'm sorry.
No, just.
Okay. So now we can move on to another one, like, for instance, let's say Mother's Day or something like that, or Valentine's Day, or any of the big ones. They're all here for you. But then there are some others that are a little bit different, like, for instance, follow-up. Follow-up's a little different. Now, what do I mean by different? There are over 20 different campaigns here that you can set up. Almost all of them go before whatever the date is. So if you set up the Valentine's Day one, then the message is going to go out before Valentine's Day. You set up the Mother's Day one. The messages are going to go out before Mother's Day. However, with follow-up, and there are 2 others as well, but with follow-up, they go out after the date. There's only 3 of them that go out after the date. Follow-up's one of them. What is the date then that they're going out after? It's the date of your customer's last transaction with you. So basically, the last time they visited you. So in other words, what I'm saying here is, I'm going to say maybe I want to just do one campaign, and I want it to do 1 day from. So that's 1 day after their last visit to you. So what that message really means is that this message is going to go out to everybody who visited me yesterday. So I could say something like, thank you, Robbi. Robbi, thank you so much for visiting us yesterday. We hope everything went great for you. Look forward to seeing you again. Please print this email out for 5% off your next visit, whatever. You've chosen your font size, you've dressed it up, you have chosen your artwork or uploaded your own custom artwork, then everything is the same, just like before. Send yourself a test email, save your template, and you're good to go. Once you are satisfied with it, you check active and save template. Okay?
Okay.
So once you're done with that, and you're satisfied with that, you can move on to something like Lost Client. This is another one of the 3 that's different. This one also goes out after the date. Once again, it is also after the date of last visit. So in this case, though, you're not choosing from 0 to 30. In this case, you're choosing from 30 to 360. So I can say, I want my first message to go out to anybody who has not been in to see me in 3 months. So I might say something like this. We miss you, Robbi. Robbi, it's been a long time since we've seen you. Please let us know what we can do to make your next visit memorable, blah, blah, blah. Choose my artwork. See how that works?
Yes.
All right. And of course, you might have a link on there. Now, DARCI's not dumb. If your customer has not seen you in 90 days or 4 months or 5 months or 8 months, like I've got it set up, because you can choose whatever you want. But if they haven't seen you in that amount of time, but they have a future appointment booked with you, then she won't send out this message.
Okay.
So it doesn't make you look foolish. Yeah, they haven't been in to see you in 3 months, but they've got an appointment booked with you next week. And now you're going to say, oh, we miss you. And no, they're booked. So if DARCI sees that they have a future appointment booked with you, she won't send this out even if they haven't seen you in that amount of time. Make sense? All right. So once we have set up our marketing campaigns, then we can exit out of it, and we're done with our campaigns, and we can move on to job number 3. Do you have any questions on the automated marketing campaigns?
No, that sounds good.
Okay.
We have those set up. but I would like to go, now that I've done this, I need to go in and change a few things. So
it's a great idea. Yeah, a lot of people learn things in these classes, and then it helps them just rework things into a better format.
yeah.
Now, I want you to also understand, of course, that when, and you probably already know this because you've already set her up, when DARCI sends out like a birthday campaign, for instance, some days, let's say on Monday, she doesn't send out any emails at all because nobody meets the parameters with their birth dates. And then on Tuesday, maybe she sends out 2 or 3. And then on Wednesday, maybe she sent out 8,000 because it was not just to birthday campaigns, but also now it's before Mother's Day, and so every one of your customers is getting it. So you just never know exactly how many emails DARCI's sending out. Now, I want you to be aware of something else as well. When DARCI is sending these things out, a lot of times people will, our customers, for instance, will have the same idea. Like, you know what, a week before Mother's Day, I want to send this out. And so they're going to send out, and they've got, I don't know, let's say 2,000 customers in their database that can accept promotions. Okay, great. So, and they set it up for 1 week before Mother's Day. Then another client somewhere else does the same thing. They've got that same idea. A week before Mother's Day, they're going to send out, maybe they've got 3,000 or 4,000 customers that it's going out to. And we've got hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of clients using DARCI for this, maybe even thousands. And if each of them have decided they're sending out their emails a week before Mother's Day, then there may be hundreds of thousands, possibly even millions of emails going out on that particular day. So I just want you to be aware of that, because the reason that that's important to you is because sometimes when DARCI runs, let's say you set her to run at 9:30 in the morning. Sometimes when DARCI runs, she runs at 9:30, and 3 seconds later, your customer got their email. Sometimes she runs at 9:30, and 2 or 3 minutes later, they got their email. Sometimes she runs at 9:30, and 2.5 hours later, they get their email. And the reason for that is because it could be that you're sending out a handful of emails, and you're the only one in all of the Pro Solutions customers throughout the world that are sending out these emails at this time. Other times, you may be one of thousands sending out emails all at the same time, and they're all going through the DARCI certified system, and they all have to be done individually, of course, because everyone's getting their own unique message. And so if there are a couple of hundred going out on a particular day, they're basically instant. If there are a couple of million going out, it could take a couple of hours before yours makes its way out. So I just want you to be aware of that, because sometimes people think there's something wrong with DARCI.
Okay.
And there's nothing wrong. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Thank you. I had not even thought about that.
Okay. All right. So it does happen, and we have had people call us that say, when DARCI runs, people get their messages instantly, but today no one's gotten them, and it's already been an hour. And I'm like, well, yeah, it's actually a week before Valentine's Day, though, and so this might be happening. So anyway, moving on. Job number 3, notifications. So I'm going to click on notifications, and that brings us to this window, and we've got a lot of different things to choose from here. We don't have to choose any of them, or we could choose all of them. We could choose a handful, whatever we want. But most of these, not all, most of these are what we call suspicious activity reporting. And with suspicious activity reporting, DARCI notifies the boss. Remember I told you about those boss emails, those owner emails? DARCI notifies the boss that that happened. So when a cash payment is voided, I've got it checked. So if somebody voids a cash payment, then DARCI sends an email to the boss that says, hey, boss, a cash payment on this transaction, on this time, on this date has just occurred. And if you've got a password protection on it, it even tell you who did it. So when this one here, when an operator's scheduled hours are changed, the boss gets instantly notified. When a price is modified at the point of sale, boss gets instantly notified. If one of your employees adjusts rewards points for one of their friends, you get notified. When a transaction is modified, et cetera, whatever you've got checked. Now, not all of them are suspicious activities, like this one here that says email operator when booked or unbooked. What that means is that when you book, unbook, or reschedule an appointment, your operator could have received an instant email that lets them know that this appointment was just unbooked, or that this appointment was just booked or rescheduled. Most employees of a salon or spa aren't really interested in that because they can get 30 emails a day, which can get a little bit annoying. But Independent contractors and booth renters adore that feature. Every time there's a change to their appointment book, they get instantly notified. And because they're running their own businesses for all intents and purposes, that's a big deal to them. Then we've got this one here, email tomorrow's schedule. This is a great one. Everybody uses this one practically. With this one, your staff the night before will receive an email from DARCI that says this is your schedule for the following day with a list of all of their appointments, just their appointment, nobody else's. Okay?
Okay.
Every night they'll get that. And then email closing report to the boss. Again, not a suspicious activity, but this one only goes to the boss. So if the boss, the owner, is not the one closing the drawer, she left a couple hours earlier, the employee closes the drawer, turns out the lights, locks the doors and leaves, then let's say at 8 o'clock at night or whatever time you've got it set up for, DARCI will send an email to the boss that says, hey boss, here are tonight's closing numbers. Okay? So things like that you can do. It's up to you what you want to choose. Those are notifications.
Okay, I get both. Right. I get a lot of those. So
good. So you've got those set up too. Next, then, after we've talked about 3 of her jobs already: the confirmations and reminders, the automated campaigns, the notifications. Then we have something called Come Again, and we have something called Buy Again. The Come Again and the Buy Again are the numbers 4 and 5 jobs that DARCI can do for you. And what are they? How do they work, and what do they do? Well, let's first talk about the Come Again. So I'm going to go to Setup, and from Setup, I'm going to go to My Services. This is where my groups and services are. You're probably familiar with this if you've ever set up groups and services. And I'm going to go to Massage here, and I've got my Physical Therapy 60. Now, let's say that I said, by the way, Robbi, are you a hair salon, or are you a day spa, or what do you do?
We're a med spa, so we don't do any nail services, just...
Okay. All right, so let's say, as a med spa, then we're going to stick here with the Physical Therapy 60. I like to talk people's language, that's all. So as a med spa, I want to make sure that, I'm not talking about coloring hair. Yeah. Anyway, so here I am. I've got my Physical Therapy 60 massage. And I've determined for myself, as the business owner, that if somebody's getting a physical therapy massage, that they should be getting it weekly. Okay? Now, that's just my own determination. So I'm going to go over here to DARCI, and I'm going to check this little box that says DARCI Come Again. And when I check that, it'll open up a drop-down menu that will show me from 1 week to 52 weeks. So I've said this one should be done weekly, but I'm not that kind of person that the second they miss their cycle, I want to immediately remind them. I want to give them an opportunity to come in or book their appointment. So I'm going to say 3 weeks. So if somebody has not come in 3 weeks after they have received a Physical Therapy 60, and 3 whole weeks have gone by and they have not returned to get that massage again, then they can get the message I write here, whatever I want it to be. I wrote, don't neglect your physical therapy. I know that a busy schedule can get in the way of your muscle's health. Don't let it. We see you've missed your last therapy cycle. Call today to schedule. Now, that's one way to do it. There is another way. So in this way that I just showed you, I'm basically saying they missed their therapy cycle, and so I'm reminding them that they missed and that they should probably book another appointment. But what if it was something that would be done a much greater amount of time in between? I really don't have anything like that, but let's just pretend. Let's go with this one here that says New Massage. I don't even have a price on this. So I'm going to go here to DARCI. As you can see, it's not set up. Let's pretend that this one should be repeated every 12 weeks. And so I'm going to say, okay, every 12 weeks. But instead of going after it by putting 13 weeks or 14 weeks or 15 weeks and saying, hey, you missed, I'm going to go before it and maybe say at 10 weeks. Now remember, they should only be getting it once every 12 weeks. But I'm going to say 10 weeks, then I'm going to write my subject. And it might say something like, your last blah, blah, blah was 10 weeks ago. They should be repeated every 12 weeks. So please call us to book your next appointment sometime within the next 2 weeks. Okay? So the thing is that DARCI won't send out the email if they have a future appointment for this service. So if they're already booked for 12 weeks out, she won't send them that message. But if they are not booked, then it's a good reminder to get them to book that appointment so that they don't miss their cycle. So you can do it either way. Hey, they missed, and I'm going to remind them, or they're about to come up and they don't have an appointment booked, so I'm going to remind them. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Either way can be done. It's entirely up to you. That is the DARCI Come Again. Then we have something called the DARCI Buy Again, and that works with our inventory. Now, I know that you don't do hair, but I set it up on my hair product here. This is my Justin All-in-One shampoo. Let's pretend it's some type of, maybe a skin cream or something like that, or an acne cleanser. But what I'm going to say here is, let's pretend that this is a 20-ounce bottle, and I told my customer to use 2 ounces of it every other day. Well, if they do that, then in about 3 weeks, it should be empty. So I'm going to write my message, and I wrote, your Justin All-in-One shampoo is running low. And I said, if you've been using the shampoo like I told you, then you should notice that you're either out or running low. Please print this email out and bring it in with you for 5% off your next purchase within the next 30 days. Then I choose. Now, if it's, remember, it would be empty in about 3 weeks, so I get to choose from 1 to 52 weeks, and I said 5 because I don't honk the horn the second the light turns green. I want them to be able to have an opportunity to run out, figure out a time to come visit me, and buy it again. But if they don't, after 5 whole weeks have gone by, it definitely should be empty. 5 whole weeks have gone by, then they will get this message. So if somebody walks through my door and buys a product and does not return to buy it again, they can, if you set it up, can receive a message when you believe that their product should be empty for a little while, so that they can be reminded to come back in and fill it. And that doesn't just help with retail sales, by the way, because if somebody's coming in to refill their products, oftentimes they decide to get an appointment at the same time. So retail reminders can also increase client retention and service sales. In fact, according to the consultants that helped us develop these working in conjunction with each other, usually, on average, now everybody's can be a little bit different, but on average, increases retail sales by 8% and service sales by 7%. Okay.
Oh.
All right. Those are the 5 main jobs of DARCI. Now that we have hired DARCI, we've brought her in, we've told her what to do, now we have to tell her when to do them. And that's what these 4 boxes are here. These check boxes here. What do we want her to do? Do we want her to do confirmations and campaigns? Yes. Do we want her to do end-of-day functions? Yes. Do we want her to do the come again and the buy again? Yes and yes. Maybe you can leave some of these unchecked. It's up to you. Now, I've said yes to all of them. I didn't talk to you about end-of-day functions. What's that? Well, I did actually. I just didn't tell you that they were end-of-day functions at that time. Many of your notifications, or some of your notifications anyway, are end-of-day functions. So, for instance, if a cash payment is voided, the boss gets notified instantly. But obviously, the boss doesn't get notified of the closing report until after you've closed. And if you haven't closed yet, she's not going to send out anything to you. So what I've said is, and also emailing your schedule to your employees every night. Those are end functions, things like that. So I said, look, I want my confirmations and campaigns to go out at 9:30. Now, because you're an installed version, I always recommend to all of my installed versions that if they have a blackout the night before, they lost power, anything, the point is that when you walk through the door, you want to be able to make sure that everything is up and running properly. And so I always say a half hour later than you would normally come in to do business. That's when your confirmations and campaigns should be set to run, a half hour or later. So in other words, if you open your doors at 9 a.m. every morning, then I would say 9:30 or 10 or 10:30, et cetera, would be a good time to choose. That gives you an opportunity to make sure that everything's up and running properly, because if you had lost power the night before, but you had set DARCI to run at 8:30 in the morning and you didn't even walk in the door till 9 a.m., well, normally she got everything at 8:30, great. But that last night, because of the storm, you lost power, you come in, your computers need to be turned back on, you turn them all on, but it's already after 8:30, DARCI doesn't do her job that day.
Right.
So I always recommend for installed versions that it's at least a half hour later, so that you can make sure that DARCI is in fact running. With the cloud, you don't have to worry about that. Like I said, she's running 24/7. If you lost your power and all of your computers were down, it doesn't matter. DARCI's not running on your computers anyway. Your software's not running on your computers. It's in the cloud. So don't worry about that. Now, end-of-day functions, we recommend at least a half hour after you turn out the lights and close the doors. Now, of course, you don't turn off your computer that's running DARCI, because then she won't be able to run. But after you've closed your drawer, after you've turned out the lights, you walk out about a half hour after that. So you might say, we close at 7. But do you really close at 7? You're not letting customers in anymore. You've locked your doors, but you're still doing, you're cleaning, you're closing your drawer, you're counting, you're doing all of that kind of stuff, your end of day stuff. So if you haven't actually processed and closed your drawer yet, then Darcy has nothing to send the boss. And so again, and if you're still taking telephone calls. So I always say, think of it not when you lock your doors to not let customers in anymore, but when you lock your doors because you've walked out, you've left, and the lights are out.
Okay.
A half hour after that, that's when Darcy should be doing her end-of-day functions. So you close at 7, but you're there till 7:45, then I would say, then let Darcy do her thing at 8:15 or 8:30. Does that make sense?
Uh-huh.
Okay, so that's your end-of-day functions. Then your come again and the buy again, we always recommend should be done at about the same time as your confirmations and campaigns. That way it's just easy to know that they all went out at the same time. You don't have to do that, but it's a good recommendation because it follows the same rules as this one, meaning you want to make sure that everything is up and running before she sends her things out. So again, whatever time you set here, it's just a good rule of thumb to set these at the same time. You don't have to. Now, once you've got your times set up and you've got your check boxes checked of what you want her to do, you're done. You can now accept the whole kit and caboodle and exit out. Darcy is now running. She is running 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and she is, unless you turn off Darcy or turn off that computer, she's always running for you. So you're done with Darcy. She's going to do her thing and whatever you've set her up for, okay?
Okay.
Now we're going to talk about manual marketing. Now, manual marketing is going to be able to help you in 2 important ways. First of all, it's marketing. It's going to be able to help you reach out to the customers that you want to reach out to at that particular moment and give them the information that you want to give them. Like you've got a special on Kerastase products this weekend only, or you're running triple points on all acne creams, or you're giving 10% off all new Botox customers, whatever it is. That's manual marketing. It's not going out to necessarily everybody. It may only be going out to your women who have dry skin, or it may only be going out to your women who are over the age of 50, or whatever you want. That's targeted marketing. You can do that with manual marketing by creating what are called tracking items. And so I can go to setup, configuration, tracking, and I have add tracking names, delete tracking names, and set for marketing group. I'm going to go to my add tracking names. Now, when you are first using the software, there is nothing here. These are all blank white boxes. And you get to write whatever you want into them. So, you know, I'm doing it for both salons and spas, so I said color and hair length and perms, but then I have skin type and tattoos and age, etc. Now, I've also got some weird things in here, like motorcycle and local business and farmer's market. So what I've done here is, if I wanted to pay attention to women's hair color for whatever reason, obviously not in your case, but I would write something like color or hair color, and then down here, over here where it says tracking items, I would type red, enter, brunette, enter, blonde, enter, silver fox, enter, blue, enter, whatever.
Okay.
So then I come over here maybe to hair length, and I write medium, enter, long, enter, short, enter. And then motorcycle, what's that? And over here I might put in yes, enter, no, enter. So what I've done is this. One of my customers contacted me a long time ago. This was years ago. They're in Montana, and their little village has got about 2,000 people that live in it. And but in August, just like Sturgis, South Dakota, they've got this enormous motorcycle gathering. And their little town goes from 2,000 people to like 25,000 people, okay, for that whole week. And they get a lot of business that week, okay? And what they like to do is they said, you know what, we really want to be able to market to these people outside of that week, or even if they're coming to that week. How do we do that? So I told them about tracking. And when people come in, they ask them, hey, are you here for the motorcycle gathering, or do you ride, you know, something like that. So then in the client file, whoever the client is, I'll just grab somebody I never grab, Corinne here, I can go to tracking. And I can say something like, she's got black hair, and that it's medium. I can also say she rides a motorcycle and accept. So now I can go to my reports, and I can go to marketing, create a list, And I can actually say, I want a list of all of my customers that ride motorcycles.
Mm.
And so then I just say something like all motos. Give it a name and press create list. And it will go through all 22,000 of my customers that I have in the system, and every one of them that I said rides a motorcycle has now appeared. And there she is on my list of people that ride motorcycles. There she is, Corinne Falenki.
Yeah.
So now I get to create that custom email. So I go to Blast, and I might choose my all moto. There it is. There's my all motos list. And maybe in this case there's 21 people on it, but maybe there's 210 people on it. Maybe there's 2,100 people on it. I don't know. And so I say, you know what? I'm going to blast this out via text or via email. And then maybe I don't already have an email created for it. So I go to setup, and I now can create one. And I'm going to call this my all moto. I just give it a name. I can call it anything I want. All clients that ride motorcycles. And then my subject line, like writing, giving you a sore back, question mark, and maybe even customize it a little bit more, open caret, capital C, capital F, closed caret, so Robbi's one of my people who rides, and I say Robbi, comma, is all that riding, giving you a sore back. That's my subject line. And it says, Robbi, I know you ride, so this is a very targeted message. Very high likelihood that she's going to open it. So then I choose my font, I choose my font size, whatever I want it to be, and I write my body. I can even upload an image. Maybe it's an image of a woman riding a motorcycle, you know, that I stole from the internet. Made sure it was the right size by resizing it, and then I uploaded it. So I upload my image if I want to at all. Of course, it's going to have my logo on it anyway and my social networking icons on it. And I write a body that says, hey, we know you like to ride, and we're giving a special during Moto Week to all of our ladies who like to ride. 20% off all lower back massages. And, you know, I don't know, whatever. Maybe you're even going to do, you know, you want to look great for the night of dancing on the first night of the Moto Week. So, you know, come on and get your facial and makeup done, you know, whatever it is that you guys do. The point is that you have really targeted this. And so DARCI is not sending out a message, you know, that's automated in this case. You're saying, no, no, I want to create a list and send it out to a very specific targeted list of people. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
All right. Now, I want to do something else. I don't want to do a regular marketing message. Instead, I want to do what's called gap filling. What is gap filling? Well, gap filling is when one of your employees comes up to you and says, hey, Robbi, my 3 o'clock just canceled. And you say, oh, man, it's 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and we don't get a lot of walk-in business. And when the people call to book their appointments, you know, they call for 2 days from now or 3 days or next week. They're not calling for this afternoon or even, God forbid, 2 hours from now. So that means that my employee is going to be sitting on their hands at 3 o'clock. And that's really frustrating to me. I want to fill them. Even if you charge the customer for not showing, you still want that employee to be able to be making money during the 3 o'clock hour, right? So let's pretend that Christian is one of your employees, and he walks up to you and says, my 3 o'clock just canceled. And you say, gosh darn it, okay, I know what to do because I took that class and Matt showed me what to do. I'm going to go to marketing, and I'm going to go to create a list. And I'm going to say, well, first of all, how long was that appointment? It was an hour? Okay, I'm going to choose all my women because my men usually come in here for 15-minute, 30-minute jobbies, but my women come in for hour, hour and a half, etc. So I'm going to choose all of my women, and I'm going to go to my operators. And I'm going to say all of my women who like to see Christian and accept. And then I'll give it a name, maybe like Christian's clients or Christian's females or something like that, Christian's ladies. And then I hit my create a list. And what it's going to do is it's going to find all of my women who prefer to see Christian. Now that only works if in your client file you have said where it says main operator down here, you've chosen an employee. Well, what if you're not doing that? And you say, oh gosh, I do have a late cancellation. I want to do what Matt said, but I've never said who their main employee is that they like to see. It's okay. You can go to create a list, but instead of going to operators over here, over here, you can go over here to rendered services by, and then choose Christian. So now, if they saw Christian, they will be on this list, even though he may not be there necessarily, their preferred employee, but they've been to him before. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, so I choose Christian here, and then I put in my Christian's ladies or something like that. Now, I've already done it, so I go to blast, and now I can choose that list. I know that this is only going out to Christian's female clients, and I go to my blast list. I can set up my email, which I've already done, so I'll just show you. I've got one in here called Christian's 3 o'clock. So this says, Robbi, there's an opening with Christian today. And I do everything else, including maybe even upload a little smiley face of Christian. And then it says, there has been a late cancellation with Christian today. It is at 3 p.m. First person to call to schedule this time will get, and maybe you offer a big discount or not, up to you. And so you blast that out. Well, when you blast that out, only Christian's customers are going to get it. And hopefully, maybe it goes out, I know in this case it goes out to 460 people because I've already done it. But maybe it goes out to 40 people, maybe it goes out to 400 people, I don't know. But it's going to go out to a group of people, and hopefully that turns into at least one phone call. That's all you need, is one phone call to fill his 3 o'clock. Now, I've had customers that have told me they've used this, and it has turned into dozens of phone calls. And, or sometimes only, a handful, 5 or 6. But that's also really beneficial because the first person fills the time and everybody else, they say, oh, I'm sorry, that was already filled. But as long as I've got you on the line and you wanted to see Christian, why don't I book you a time for tomorrow or, Wednesday or, Friday or whatever it may be that Christian has some availability. And they find themselves, not with all of the customers that called in, but with some of them, they find themselves booking additional appointments with Christian that they may not have booked before. And this time they're not offering a discount because they're not doing they just have these people on the phone that were interested in booking with Christian for that. They didn't make it. They weren't the first caller, but that's okay. We can book you with Christian another time, et cetera, et cetera. And according to some of the customers that I've had conversations with that have used this regularly, it actually does result in more appointments for their employees than they would normally have had. So it can work both ways, not just gap filling, but actually giving you additional appointments. So that's another way to use marketing. Any question at all on what we've covered today?
No, that's
the class then. Would you like me to email you this class that you just attended?
Yes. Especially that manual marketing is something that I'm not doing, and so I need to just leverage whatever DARCI can do for me, so I need to get that.
Absolutely. I totally agree with you. So would you want me to send this to xagemed@gmail.com?
Yes.
Okay. It does have to be created. It usually takes about 45 minutes to create, so you should expect to receive that in about an hour.
Okay, that's great. I'll have to work on it later tonight.
Of course, you don't have to look at it the second I send it to you. I just want you to be aware of it.
Okay, great.
All right. Have a wonderful day, Robbi, and thank you so much for attending this class. The people who learn the most about the software are the people who are the happiest with it. So really, I do thank you for taking the time out today. You and several other people signed up, but you were the only one to show, so I really do thank you. Have a great day.
Great. Thank you, Matt. You too.
My pleasure. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye.